Major production funding for Game Notes is provided by Hargrove Engineers and Constructors is proud to support LPB since 1995. Hargrove has been employee-owned and relationship-driven. With 2,700 teammates around the world, Hargrove works as one team to go beyond expectations.
You have what it takes to begin your journey: curiosity, ingenuity, intellect, determination. Through a vast portfolio of affordable and in-demand academic programs, hundreds of student-focused activities, and wraparound services, Southern University meets you where you are, giving you the tools and support that lead you to a successful career in the sciences or the arts. Begin with your goals anywhere. Finish stronger at Southern University at subr.edu.
The Rolf Pugh Agency is proud to support this program. Based in Louisiana, Rolf Pugh has provided marketing services nationwide since 1981, partnering with clients in healthcare, retail, automotive, and more. For more information, visit rpagency.com. With additional support from Lafayette Travel, the LSU Alumni Association, and the Cook Hotel and Conference Center at LSU, Louisiana Tech University, Natchitoches Regional Medical Center, Northwestern State University, Red Stick Sports, the U.S. Army Baton Rouge Recruiting Battalion, the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, and viewers like you. Thank you. We are back. It's another game day weekend, and it's great to have you with us here for Game Notes on LPB. Happy to be with you on this Saturday morning, alongside my Super Bowl champ partner, Scott Shanley. I'm Victor Howell. We are closing in on the month of October. The games mean even more right now, but Scott, as we have learned this week, on the grand scale of college football, things happen quickly. We've seen it, and the dominoes seem to be falling a lot faster than what we're used to.
Yeah, when you sit there in August and the season feels so far away, and you're almost in November. So right now as a team, you're figuring out whether you're going to make early off-season plans or you're going to be in the playoffs for some of these teams. But I think right now, teams they know what they are, they know what they have in their roster, and now they're just trying to figure out a way to win some of these games, especially as the rivalry games come up.
Yeah, a lot of rivalry games on their way. The pressure is being built up for players and on their fan bases, but it's also the pressure on the coaches, and we have seen a lot of that, and that news hit Baton Rouge earlier this week. We know the lead-in for the Southern Jaguars. Come into this season, be ready to win the West. You won the West a year ago. You won the Bayou Classic. You lost to J-State. Well, instead of getting off to that, we've seen the book. They just weren't ready for the ending to come as fast as it did, but it hit earlier this week for the Southern Jaguars on the Bluff, and they are now looking for a new head coach as they start to finish out this regular season. Following last weekend's ugly homecoming loss to Prairie View, on Monday the school announced they parted ways with head coach Terrence Graves. One season ago, yes, the Jags won the SWAC West under Graves. They beat Grambling in the Bayou Classic before losing to J-State in the SWAC Championship. They were picked to win the West again this season. Right now, the team is winless in conference play and have just one win on the year. Now they'll go to interim route to try and salvage this season, but the search is on for a new full-time leader once again of the Jaguar football program.
We know that we've really been struggling as a football team. And the moral of the story in a lot of ways is that you don't want to lose, but you can accept when you lose some games. But it's tough to look at it, and you have to find a solution when you're not feel like you're competing for the entire game. And I think that got us to this point.
The thing about calling plays is it's a collaborative thing that where offensive coaches get together and we put together a game plan. And so I've been calling them for the last few games since the Alabama State game. So and we'll continue to do that. We'll still collaborate with the other assistant coaches in terms of what we need to do game plan wise, and get on the field. We'll make the best decision to move this offense forward. And for us calling offense now, I will have the headsets on. I'm gonna put my best foot forward in terms of what I got to do to win the next few ball games that we have left on our schedule, because that's my job now, to put this team in the best position to win, make sure that the staff is doing what they're supposed to do, and also make sure that young student athletes are doing what they're supposed to do as well.
Hey, I've been a coach before and been on the sidelines, and from a player perspective, that if they need anybody, they need fans now, right? They're trying to get their first win. Coach is taking over, and so you need that extra push when you're not as confident as you've been. You haven't gotten the win, and you're trying to figure things out. Sometime that home crowd can help you get that win, and that's what we're asking.
And they'll have that home crowd this afternoon when they take on Florida A&M. Fred McNair, remember, led Alcorn State at one point. Remember, earlier this year, he was elevated to co-offensive coordinator, being the quarterback's coach. He now takes over. I thought it was interesting when Roman Banks said there's a difference between playing and competing. He had a very rare press conference after the game last Saturday with the loss to Prairie View, and to me, that makes it sound like it looks like, I'm not saying they did, it looks like either the team quit or the coach lost the team because he sees them playing, not competing. That's why they made the move.
Yeah, I think when I hear him speaking there, I'm thinking of really it's between hope and despair. Are you giving the fans hope? Are you giving your school hope that you can win? Or is there despair where you go out there every single week and you think, we can't win this game? If you have despair, it's time to make a move. And I felt like, just hearing him say that, he felt like it was time to make a move, especially after last week's game and the slow start to the season.
And the numbers tell the stories. You take a look offensively for the Jaguars. Look, defense at times, they've got some standout players, but they can only do so much. When you look at the rankings of Southern's offense in the SWAC, the numbers don't tell a pretty picture. It has been a struggle all season long, and just take a look. They're dead last in points per game, just barely 13 points a game. Dead last in total offense. They've only scored 11 touchdowns. That's dead last. You want to find something to be positive about? Okay, the passing offense is 11th. We know the situation. They've been using 3-4 quarterbacks out there on the bluff. But, Scott, those numbers tell you that the defense can only do so much. You're not getting any support from the offensive side when they're on the field. So when you look at those numbers, and we now know Fred McNair is going to take over, you've got Florida A&M on the bluff today. Then you go through the rest of the season, and, of course, you lead up to the Bayou Classic when you look here at their schedule. What's the most important thing for these Jaguar players now as they move forward under an interim?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's about you have an opportunity of an interim head coach, but you get to play at home. Get the fan base back, get them excited, show effort. And I think it's the responsibility of the coaching staff as well. We're not going to do the same things. We're not going to play the same players. We're not going to run the same offensive scheme. We're not going to do the same defensive scheme. We're going to change it up. We're going to do it a different way. I think that'll reinvigorate the guys and get the locker room going.
We'll see. When they take on Florida A&M, you see that the rest of the schedule. And, of course, the season will end down in New Orleans at the end of the year when they play the Bayou Classic against Grambling. And we'll talk about Grambling a little later on in this program. All right, let's talk about Nicholls now and McNeese will be taking place down on the Bayou, where it's been over a month since the Colonels actually woke up in their own beds to get ready to play a football game in their own stadium. Very familiar surroundings, but that's what they did last night, getting ready for today. Yes, it's a home game finally for the Colonels as they play a big South End Conference game against the Cowboys from McNeese. The Colonels' lone win this season came at home in the first game of the season, a big-time beatdown on the defending conference champs UIW, but it's been a bit of a struggle since then. Now they welcome in the McNeese Cowboys and reigning South End Conference Offensive Player of the Week, quarterback Jake Strong. In last week's win over Houston Christian, he tied a school record with 3 rushing touchdowns, finished the game with a career-high 108 rushing yards. That went along with his 133 passing yards. Now, Cowboy fans hope he and the team can carry the momentum into Thibodaux against the Nicholls team that McNeese head coach Matt Viator says resembles his own team in many ways.
I believe, watching from afar, because Timmy was only the head coach 1 year when I was here, and but watching from afar, I don't think anybody in the last decade has done it better than Nicholls has in our league, year in and year out. I think the added layer for us is, number one, we're going to go play a good football team that's hungry for a win. Kind of the same position that we were last week. We need to win a road game, which we haven't, in a tough place to play. It's always been a tough place to play. They've always done a really good job there. And then another obvious added layer to us is this will be our first afternoon kickoff. So you got to go through a new schedule and stuff. So, look, it's a great opportunity for us. But, the things that we did well, you have to turn the page and you got to try to do them well again.
And the big question will be, can the Cowboys do it again on the road? It's a 3 o'clock kick this afternoon down in Thibodaux. It's the first home game since September 6th for the Nicholls Colonels. McNeese on the road this season, that's been a problem. 0-3 on the road, so that's what Matt Viator was talking about. Have to do it again, but the challenge being away from home. In this series, the Colonels have won the last 4 meetings. Hopefully you have tickets to go enjoy Saturday afternoon football in Thibodaux. If not, you'll be able to check out this game on ESPN+.
Lamar and Southeastern and probably Stephen F. are really not that different. You put all 3 of them in a hat and pull one out, they're all going to be the same team. They're all really, really good teams. Lamar is going to come in here ranked 15th in the nation and very deserving of that. They're 6-1. They've won 6 straight games. They know how to win. They know how to win a close game. So they're very similar to Southeastern. So that's the challenge. It's kind of like when we went to Minnesota and Cincinnati back-to-back. all right, now we get to play these two back-to-back who are very similar teams. So what are the lessons you learn from one to the other? They're going to help you be better next time we go out.
Well, last week it was a shutout loss to Hammond, to the top 25 Lions from Southeastern, and afterwards Blaine McCorkle said they are what a playoff team looks like. Well, the Demons might get another close-up look today when they host the 15th-ranked Lamar Cardinals. Lamar's the highest-ranked team out of the Southern Conference and haven't lost a game this season since dropping the season opener against North Texas. This one will be played in Natchitoches, so the Demons hoping for some home field help. Kickoff is set for 4 o'clock. Again, if you don't have tickets to make it out there to the game in person, check out all the action on ESPN+.
Whether past results are not indicative of what's going to happen in the future. That's good. That's over and done with. And now you got to, you move on. So it's good to look backwards, but you got to look forward. The process that we have this week, we don't ever look to shut out anybody. We don't ever look to go say we got to win this game. We don't do that stuff. We go through our process during the course of the week, and then we see how it plays out. Because sometimes you might end up with the results that you want, but the way you got there that's not what you wanted to do. So we want to make sure that we follow a good, clean process throughout the course of the week to get us ready for Saturday.
Well, it's been 65 years since the Lions have posted back-to-back shutouts, but that's the wave of momentum they're riding right now after shutting out McNeese and Lake Charles, and then last week doing the same thing at home to Northwestern State. Now, one of the biggest things head coach Frank Selfo has going for him and his team right now, it's balance, and it's overall balance. The offense for the Lions has been fast and dynamic. The defense has been aggressive, and special teams have been a big factor in the last few games. Selfo says that's been part of the strategy for this team, and so far, it is paying off huge dividends.
We've been rotating a lot of guys in, playing a lot of guys, and you just got to have depth. It's a 12-game season. You got to be careful with your guys. You got to be smart practice-wise. We got to be smart with the total number of reps that they're getting, and so that's why this plan from the beginning was to get a lot of guys reps early in the season and continue to get those reps, and those guys can continue to grow and develop. So it's important. You'll get better when you're playing. You don't get much better when you're standing on the sidelines watching. So we got to play those guys, and some of those guys really been doing a good job.
He's been going deep into the roster, Scott, and you look at the numbers here, as I was just mentioning before his soundbite. Look at the points per game, almost 35 points per game. These rankings are through the South End Conference through this season. Offense is number 3. Defense is number 3. Even kickoff return, Scott, that's number 1. When you talk about all 3 phases of the game, they're number 1 in kickoff return yards, and they're at the bottom. 48% third down conversions.
That's a heck of a graphic right there. You have all 3 phases of your football team with great rankings. Number 1 ranking, number 2, number 3 ranking. So you're doing very well in all 3 phases. You've had 2 recent shutouts. You're only lost on the year to La Tech and to LSU. So you're playing good football, and nobody's managed this 2-quarterback system as good as Southeastern. I think they've done it as good as anybody in the country.
Yeah, we focused about the 2-quarterback system, but I think those numbers show you it's much more than that. We've seen the defense interception returns for touchdown, kickoff return for a touchdown 1 week ago. And even though they have those 2 quarterbacks, they're all using all the players all the way around them. Look, with all due respect to Tulane, who's on a bye this week and is coming off a nice win, has played well, I think Southeastern might be the hottest trending team of the 11 teams we're covering in the state. Their trajectory has been on a very nice climb.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. I think they're secondary. They have guys in the secondary who are going to play on Sundays. Caleb Proctor was a guy we highlighted. He gave LSU fits when we watched him play in against the Tigers that night. So he's going to be playing on Sundays. This team has a lot of really talented players. They're well coached. And you're sit down with the quarterbacks last week. I think it was so it brought us into their locker room, gave us an insight into just how tight this team is together. And that's going to take you a long ways come November when it's time to win these games.
Yeah, they've been playing very, very well. Let's take a look at their schedule now, closing things out, because as you'll notice, when they get done on the road at Houston Christian here, you have East Texas A&M at home in Hammond. Then it's back-to-back road games. It's always a big one, and it's personal between Nicholls and Southeastern. But look at those 2 games. At Lamar and then at Incarnate Word, who's the defending champs in the South End Conference. We focused on that back in August, and here we go. It's coming down to those 2 games. Lions don't want to look too far ahead, but it's setting up very nicely with the way they're playing here with 5 weeks left in their season. Well, trust me, even with the rain forecast this weekend in Baton Rouge, this past week, it's been sunny. Sun's been out. It's been nice weather here in South Louisiana. Don't ask Tiger fans that. It's been dark clouds and gloomy coming off a disappointing week last week in Nashville where the Tigers suffered a tough loss to the Commodores from Vanderbilt. And it doesn't get any easier this week with number 3 Texas A&M rolling into town to face the Tigers in a primetime matchup tonight. The college landscape has changed a lot this week. Terrence Graves being let go. Billy Napier being let go at Florida out of the SEC. Things are moving fast, but Brian Kelly says he doesn't have time to look after any of that stuff. He's still trying to be focused on getting his team better.
I can't take time to think about those things. I have to think about not making mistakes in the red zone and making sure that we do a good job staying on the upfield shoulder of the quarterback when we blitz off the edge into a naked boot. I got to think about those things and helping our coaches keep coaching and teaching that. And so I'm not trying to play off your question, but the reality of it is that if I take a global view on all these things all day, I wouldn't get my job done. And some are saying that I'm not getting it done now. I get that, right? And I get the criticism that comes with that. But we are working hard every single day to get our football team better.
He was asked directly about everything that's going on in football. He said, hey, I don't have time for that. I got to get my team better. And here you go tonight. Texas A&M, number 3 and undefeated. Though the Aggies have not won in Baton Rouge since going back to 1994. Remember the name Mario Craver. He leads the Southeastern Conference with his receiving yards, with a quarterback who has been excellent and a defense that has been stingy. This game will be broadcast nationally tonight on ABC, and the game is a sellout. So if you don't have tickets, you can watch all the action on ABC. Scott, earlier this week, Brian Kelly was asking the SEC teleconference, does he have a fear of losing his team? And he immediately said no, not even thinking about it. We've got quality guys. We're in no position right now to lose this team with what's going on. However, I remind you, it was the end of last year when they said, we're keeping receipts. We'll see you in the playoffs. You're 1 loss away from a 3-loss team. You still got to go to Alabama. You still got to go to Norman. You could have a 5-loss season with they're going. So with everything that's happening with NIL and transfer, how do you keep the team focused when you already have more losses than what you thought you were going to at this point of the season?
It's hard. It's hard to keep the outside noise out, especially this day and age with social media and all these kids. They have accounts. They listen to everybody talk to them, tell them what's wrong. Family members are going to tell them it's not you. It's your teammates. So you constantly have to keep the things inside your locker room, keep that hope, and know that you have a good football team. Last week I sat up here and I talked about part of your problem was effort. You have too good a talent on your team not to play better than you are. The Vandy game, it was a game that I felt like LSU could have won, but last year when they played at A&M, I felt like that was kind of the window opening to some of the problems defensively, running quarterbacks. You're going to face Marcel Reed came in the game last year with 8 minutes in the third quarter and outscored LSU by himself, really 31-6. So that's the guy. That's the guy you're going to have to contain in this football game tomorrow night. But I think there's a lot of talent on this team. But at some point, you're almost in November. Your things that you've been talking about getting fixed, the time is now. It's time is now. So it's getting too late once you get to November 1st.
Say, it's now if you haven't already passed it, so you better hurry up. And to your point, Brian Kelly was also asked about being physical. He said, yes, we have to be more physical. Here's where the Tigers stand in the SEC when you look at the standings. And I want you to notice all the teams on the left. Look at the numbers. Scott, that's absurd. Look at the rankings of everybody. You won't find LSU until you get to the top of the right column there at 5-2 overall and 2-2 in conference play. But A&M leading the charge. You go to Alabama after the bye week. Of course, Arkansas comes to you in November. But there's the gauntlet that is now ahead of LSU, and they've got to make some moves immediately and will need a lot of help. And don't forget, they're going to finish up the season at Oklahoma in Norman there at the end of November. So let's focus on tonight's ball game with Texas A&M and what they're going to be facing as you take a look at the schedule here with LSU at home. Weather could be a factor, which means you might have to rely on the run game. LSU's run game has not been good. Texas A&M is very well balanced. So where do you think the keys lie for LSU to get what is basically a must-win tonight at home?
Yeah, well, I mentioned earlier, Marcel Reed is going to be the key. This guy, he's got great legs. He can make plays outside the pocket. You had trouble last week against Vandy. It's going to be the same type of situation this week. You cannot let this guy get outside the pocket. He's going to make plays break down. Keep him contained as good as you can. He's dynamic with his legs. But I do think there's vulnerabilities on this A&M defense. They gave up 528 yards to Arkansas last week, 268 yards of rushing. I know LSU's run game hasn't been great all year, but it's a defense that you can run the ball against. You don't have to just go away from certain things because they've shut people down. Over 500 yards against Arkansas, there's vulnerabilities there.
You have to find points. And I know that sounds silly and simple, but you haven't scored more than 24. That was your high point last week at Nashville. A&M's averaging around 30. So already on paper, you're down 6. Yeah. The offense has got to find a way to score some points.
They absolutely do, and I think that's been the most frustrating part. You know, as a defensive guy, I'm always going to focus on the defense first, but I think you ask anybody coming into the season, everybody had high expectations for this LSU offense. We used to be scoring 40 points a game, was what everybody wanted when you have a returning quarterback. And I think it really starts with being patient. 3 yards and 4 yards in a cloud of dust is not a bad play. It gives your quarterback a chance on third down. So stay consistent with the running game. You have really good running backs. Feed them the ball. Get Harlan Berry the ball in space. That's a young guy who's a dynamic playmaker. So you have guys. You just need to utilize them in the matchups right.
We'll see what happens. 6:30 kick there in Tiger Stadium, and it is going to be sold out. Let's go an hour west down I-10 to Lafayette for the Raging Cajuns and their focus point. Yeah, remember Walker Howard? He started the season, and then he left the season before the end of the first game, and then they went to quarterback number 2, and then they went to quarterback number 3 with Lunch Winfield, and then last week, all of a sudden, boom, Walker Howard's back on the field again. He's out there slinging it for the Cajun. It wasn't enough to get the win for the Cajuns, but he's back and getting healthy, and head coach Michael Decimo says, if he's ready to go, we got to play him.
You've got at least 5 left, hopefully 6, and by some miracle, maybe 7. But you got to continue to get the guy ready to go play, and he's looked really good in practice, but nothing replaces those game reps. Hopefully, I think if we feel good about it, being able to get him a little bit every game, a drive or two, I think is really good for him. At some point, if and when we need him again, you want him to be really confident, be ready to go. And I thought he threw the ball with a lot of confidence, and he's practiced well.
The Raging Cajuns are on the road. They'll be at Troy. That's a tough opponent tonight. 6 o'clock for that ball game as the Trojans have the number 2 defense in the Sun Belt Conference. Check out the action tonight on ESPN+. That same Southern Miss team that got past the Cajuns last week, back home in Hattiesburg, set to host another Louisiana team in the Warhawks from UL Monroe. Warhawks had a rough second half last week in their loss to Troy, but there have been pockets of improvement for head coach Brian Vincent, the defense as a whole being one of them. The challenge today, can they keep up with Golden Eagle quarterback Braylon Braxton, who's having an outstanding season for the Golden Eagles? The defense will have its hand full. The offense has to be ready to step up. It's an afternoon kick, 2:30. Hattiesburg isn't a bad drive for Warhawk fans, but if you can't make it, don't worry. You'll see all the action on ESPN+. Well, at the start of the season, we had a chance to visit head coach Mickey Joseph on the campus of Grambling University and talk about not only being a coach of the Tigers, but being a coach of a brand. Tonight rather, is really a perfect example of that. You've already played games in Shreveport, played a game in Dallas. Now you're playing the number 1 team in the SWAC in Vegas. But yeah, it's Grambling against J-State. This one's going to be played out in Vegas. It'd be great to see this one on campus, but remember, it's the brand. But it'll be a heck of a matchup when we see these two teams go at it.
Bow your neck. I mean, you played the number 1 team in the country, which is Ohio State. Okay? You played the number 1 team in the country. Now you get the opportunity to play the number 1 team in HBCU. What an opportunity. What an opportunity. And then they take you away to Vegas. That's a great opportunity. You get to go see Vegas. You get to play the number 1 team in the country. So now have some gap integrity and stop the run. Okay, and stop the run. But it's going to be hard. They're very explosive. They're not just explosive in a run game. That kid can make every pass. That kid can throw every pass. They got some great receivers. But they're well coached. They're not number 1 for nothing. Do we respect them? Absolutely. We respect them 100%. Are we intimidated? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because I'm not intimidated, and you're going to follow your daddy. So if your daddy ain't intimidated, you're not intimidated. But are we going against a good football team? Absolutely. And I want to make that clear. They're a really good football team. But nobody's intimidated in this building. This football. There's no such thing as being intimidated.
Scott, I'll be right back. I'm going to make T-shirts. Follow your daddy. Daddy's not intimidated, and neither are you. Well, Marco Linzer leads the FCS in interceptions. Made 2 interceptions in the Tigers' victory on Saturday at Pine Bluff. He also made 6 tackles. That's why he's the SWAC Defensive Player of the Week. As for Trey Bradford, he was dominant in Grambling's victory, ran for over 120 yards for the 2nd consecutive week. He finished with a $123 and 2 touchdowns, including the game winner. Seeing Bradford carry the rock a lot is something Tiger fans better get used to.
Well, that's what I brought Trey here to do, is to carry the ball 25, 20. He's older. We tried to get the young kids some playing time to get them, because when Trey leaves, we still have to have some kids. So now it's October, so it's a little cooler right now. He's always in great shape, and he can tote it. It's time to run Trey. It's time to run Trey, and just run him, and that's what we're gonna do.
So they're starting to come into their own up there in Grambling. It's great to have Trey Bradford. We know about Tizette and what he's done to the quarterback system. But again, it's that coaching the brand. You've already had 3. Would love to see this on campus with J-State. Yeah. But hey, you're going to Vegas, national showcase.
Yeah, what an experience.
Yeah.
I think Coach Joseph is one of the best coaches in the country. I really do. I think you listen to him talk, and I put myself as a 18-year-old kid sitting in that seat, listening to him talk. I'd be motivated to play a football game. And I think he really cares about these young men. And the brand. I mean, I think he represents the brand well. To be playing in Vegas, it's going to be a national stage. They're going to be the national audience is going to be there watching this game. So I think it's a tremendous opportunity. And I think Coach Joseph does a great job putting it in perspective for the young men. Like, take advantage of this.
Yeah.
Soak it in, because you don't get many moments like this.
No, it should be a good one. Grambling and J-State tonight out in Vegas. Let's take it to highlights. Believe it or not, we had a rare game, a Tuesday night game up in Ruston as we wrap up this morning on Game Notes. Louisiana Tech was in action Tuesday night. Remember, they played Thursday a week ago, so they had an extended time break off. Then they come back on a Tuesday night to take on Western Kentucky. It's 3-0 Western Kentucky when Blake Baker, the beautiful touch to Marley and Jackson. That goes 41 yards, and that leads to Baker finding David Piero in the end zone. And that's a touchdown on this pass right there. 7-3 Louisiana Tech. Big moment here early in the game. Look at the blitz and the tackle by Zarek Hill. And it happens fast, Scott. Boom. Fumble. Tech's going to take advantage, but they're going to review, and we're going to watch it one more time. He's ejected for targeting. Do you agree?
I don't. I think you see the head snap back and you automatically think targeting, but I think it's more face mask to face mask. And by definition, targeting is supposed to be the crown of the helmet. I don't think the crown of the helmet touched him.
No, big loss there on defense, and the Bulldogs are down 20-7 at the half. But when they come out for the opening kick, they go deep into the playbook. Sonny Cumbie pulling out the throwback, and look at the wall that gets set up here for this one, and they are going to take it all the way down for the touchdown. Clay Tevin, and nobody gets him. One spin move. And the Bulldogs are on the scoreboard 20-14. And now it's 2017. Tech gets a field goal. This is going to tie it at 20. Now, Tech had a chance to kick a field goal to win this at the end of regulation, and the kick was blocked. So we go to overtime. And in overtime, Tech's going to get the touchdown. They outscore Western Kentucky 20-0 in the second half and through this part of overtime. It's now 27-20. But the Hilltoppers get a key 4th and 8. And then when George Hart III takes it in, they're now down by 1. And Western Kentucky said, we didn't come this far to tie and go to a second overtime. We're going for the win. Rodney Tisdale at quarterback. Gets it, rolls, waits, looks, and finds K.D. Hutchinson. That's it, and that's all. Western Kentucky wins it on the 2-point conversion in overtime, 28-27. Here's Sonny Cumbie postgame.
The thing that I share with the team afterwards is really there's not a word that I can say, there's not a message that I can say that's going to ease the wound of this sting because it hurts. We really have 108 guys, I think, that poured everything they could into a football game, into a week of preparation, and belief and expectation from the standpoint of what we were going to do. And at the end of the day, Western Kentucky, credit them at the 2-point conversion. Their quarterback did a great job of keeping the play alive and finding a backside drag, on the 2-point play. I think our defense played a really good game in the second half. They shut them out in the second half until overtime, and you made it there at the fourth. Made a good throw and catch on the 4th down, and to get down into the situation. So, there's a lot of bright spots individually and collectively in terms of our guys playing better in the second half together. But ultimately, we want to win the football game. We weren't able to do that.
28-27 was the final. Next game for Tech, Halloween night, when they will take on Sam Houston. We have a full slate of football ready to go on this Saturday, and we hope you enjoy all the action. And thank you for starting your day with us. For Scott Shanley, I'm Victor Howell. We'll see you tomorrow night to wrap everything up on Post-Game Notes. But until then, enjoy your game day, and thanks for joining us here on LPB. Major production funding for Game Notes is provided by Southern University and A&M College, and Hargrove Engineers and Constructors, and the Romp Pew Agency, with additional support from Lafayette Travel, the LSU Alumni Association, and the Cook Hotel and Conference Center at LSU, Louisiana Tech University, Natchitoches Regional Medical Center, Northwestern State University, Red Stick Sports, the U.S. Army Baton Rouge Recruiting Battalion, the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, and viewers like you. Thank you.